Everybody, video here for today. Gonna recap the first week of free agency for the 2024 Washington Commanders. All right, it's a no cap recap, as a matter of fact. So let's get going here. All right, so to start off, let's do other news. So up to the minute news. Where was it? Right there. There we go. Some new signings today. The biggest thing, Justin Fields traded from Chicago to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for only, surprisingly, only a 2025 sixth round pick. But if Justin Fields plays 51% of this year's snaps, that will turn into a fourth round pick. And so that's a lot to give up on for a first round pick that did as well as he did. Darren Waller from New York Giants, tight end, retired. Tyron Smith, Dallas Cowboys, left tackle, signed a one-year deal with the New York Jets. Couple other moves, nothing crazy. All right, let's turn the attention to our team. We don't own it, but we certainly love it. All right, so as you can see here, so this is using Madden 24 to show you these and to find people updating rosters immediately upon any type of news here, except this doesn't contain the Fields trade. So, but I'm sure they'll add that in short order. So as you can see in this top seven players here, three of them are new ones in the top rated, and including middle linebacker Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu, left outside linebacker, and Austin Eckler. And granted, those three guys coming in, probably three guys that are no longer with the team, were also ranked in the top seven. So it's pretty much even for that, but hopefully it will end up being an upgrade in play. Terry McLaurin and Jonathan Allen still the highest rated Commanders at 89. Let's check out to see what's going on. So one of the signings, Marcus Mariota and Jake Fromm is still on the roster. I think probably a free agent, but you got to have two for. There will be players that are still on the roster here because you got to have a certain amount of players for each position. So some may be left on here that are actually free agents, but I think everybody that is definitely no longer going to be there is out of this particular roster. So Marcus Mariota. And so as you can see, no Sam Howell. He got traded to Seattle for a third round draft pick. And that move gives Washington 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. They have pick number 2 in the first round, almost certainly a quarterback there. And the second pick in the first round. And then in round 2, they have picks 36 and 40. And in round 3, they have picks 67, 78, and 100. So again, 6 picks in the top 100. So hopefully at least 3 starters out of that, well, you would hope. But we'll see how that goes. Another thing you got to keep in mind when looking at this roster information is the ages are going to be wrong, because these are the ages from the Madden 2024 game, and so that means last preseason is when this came out. And so these guys are going to, by the time the new Madden game comes out, and normally in August, these guys are going to be a year older. So before the first regular season snap, definitely Marcus Mariota is going to be 30, for example, and we'll see if that is relevant going down the line. So certainly, again, almost certainly a quarterback picked at the second pick in the first round, excuse me. All right, Austin Eckler in and Gibson out. He went to, where did he go? Let's see, I have all this information here. Antonio Gibson signed with the New England Patriots, as well as quarterback Jacoby Brissett. Both of those former Commanders signed with New England Patriots. He took up Brian Robinson. And so again, he has 2 years of experience, not just the one. And as far as ages, so Austin Eckler is going to be 29 before the regular season starts, but she's still a good player for sure. Alex Arma is a free agent, but again, he gets mad if you get rid of all the players. You got to have a certain amount of players, and he could still re-sign with Washington. Terry McLaurin, of course, and Jahan Dotson most likely will be your starting 2 wideouts. It's possible they will draft someone that could possibly start, or they could still sign somebody in free agency. Jameson Crowder did re-sign, so that's a definite. And De'Ami Brown has 3 years of experience now, and he will be in the last year of his rookie deal, as well as Dax Milne, same deal, last year of his rookie deal. And so could be maybe with the team, maybe cut. Tinsley actually made the final 53 last year, but did not play at all, I don't think. As far as I know, did not play at all. So we'll see what the new staff thinks about him. But I would imagine a draft pick on wide, at least one draft pick on wide receiver, and maybe 1 or 2 free agents signed as well. Zach Ertz is here, and he'll be 33 by the time the season starts. And Logan Thomas, excuse me. No, Logan Paulson is different. Logan Thomas is released, saving I think $6 million worth of cap space. And so Bates and Turner still on their rookie deals. And Bates, I think, got 53 passes last year, but he's mainly a run blocking tight end. So it's possible they'll draft or sign another tight end in free agency. Chris Paul remains on the roster, and might not be their actual positions, but again, you have to have X number of players at certain positions, and so the offensive linemen may not be exactly where they would be, but Washington cut Charles Leno started at left tackle last year. So I would imagine 2 or 3 offensive linemen drafted as well. Braden Daniels last year, I don't think he played at all. I think he was on injured reserve the entire year, if I'm not mistaken. I may have that incorrect. And Nick Allegretti, backup for the Chiefs, signed in hopes of being able to start. So we'll see how that goes. We'll have to raise up that 66 overall rating if he would like that to happen. Tyler Biadasz, I believe that's how that's pronounced. If not, sorry, Tyler. He will be your new starting center unless something really out of the ordinary would happen. And Good Jones on the roster late last year continues to be so. Maybe a free agent, but again, you got to have the amount of players. So would assume Tyler will be starting. One of the 2 or 3 Dallas Cowboys that came over with Dallas's former defensive coordinator and former Atlanta Falcons head coach, Dan Quinn, now the head coach of the Washington Commanders. They're probably the best lineman from last year, ranking 85, Sam Cosmi. And Stromberg played a little bit at guard. He was a center at Arkansas, and so he perhaps could be in the mix for that center spot as well. But they do like it if you can play more than one position on the line. So again, he's just 1 year of experience and not really that much. Got hurt early in the year and missed the rest of the campaign. Wiley also improved much during the year, and so he got retained. Nick Gates was center, and he got cut, and that again was several million in cap savings. So again, would imagine 2 or 3 offensive linemen drafted. All right, so Dante Fowler coming over from, I think, Atlanta. And he's ranked 75, and so got to get the pass rush back. It wasn't as much as they needed, even with Montez Sweat and Chase Young, excuse me, at the end positions. So before they got traded, and so even with them in the lineup, it wasn't what it needed to be. And so hopefully they will get that taken care of this year. Henry and Jones are draft picks from last year, so to know if they may stay on the team. Cheap backups, if nothing else. Dorrance Armstrong, also from Dallas. Ranked 76, excuse me. And so presumably will be starting at the right end position. Shaka Toney on injured reserve the whole year, but actually he was suspended by the league for the year because of gambling. So don't know if he will remain on the team or not. Also, Jalen Harris, rookie, free agent signing, and Joshua Pryor. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, the Bama boys. Also, Fedarian Mathis, Bama. He also he played some last year, but did get hurt again as well, and he missed almost his entire. I think he played 1 snap the previous year in his rookie year. And so hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy this year. I would imagine he would be on the roster. Efe Obada re-signed. Was one of the free agents and re-signed with Washington. And Ridgeway, he was a great pickup, great from Arkansas, great backup, definitely helped with depth. Frankie Louvu be starting on the outside. Cleveland Farrell. They needed to sign more linebackers. They didn't run with that many last year. They were doing more Buffalo nickel and such, and just running with 2 linebackers, sometimes 1 linebacker, and so they didn't really run that many. From last year, Jabril Cox and Anthony Pittman, backup special teamer guy, and so he was signed as well this week. Bobby Wagner starting at middle linebacker. Dejon Harris is another one of those Arkansas. Shout out Razorbacks, and he is one of those guys that will be playing special teams and backup, and is a free agent, so could be elsewhere. Jamie Davis will continue to be your other outside linebacker starter. Khalid Hudson, another free agent. They could bring him back. Maybe not. Kendall Fuller went to the Buffalo Bills. So now the top corners are St. Just and Emmanuel Forbes, last year's first-round draft pick. And so hopefully they continue to impress and improve. And right now on the roster, Kelly Holmes and Castro Fields. All 3 of those guys could be gone. And they would have to, I would imagine, 1 or 2 cornerbacks drafted, and maybe another 1 or 2 signed in free agency. For free safety, you got Derek Forrest returning. Terrell Burgess is free agent, I believe, so they could bring him back. And Percy Butler. So I would definitely, if it was up to me, I would bring those guys back. At least for depth, if nothing else. Jeremy Chin signed this week, and Cameron Curl signed with, I think, the Los Angeles Rams, I believe, is where Cam Curl signed with. He's a good player, but I don't know what happened there, but I read an article that said it was apparent that Cam Curl wasn't in the plan, so I don't know what the issue with that was, but he signed away. And last year's second-round pick, Jartavius Martin, also known as Quan Martin. And Jeremy Reeves re-signed this week, special teams Pro Bowler. And and he can play the safety position as well, and he re-signed. They signed a kicker, Brandon McManus. Joey Slight is a free agent and could still be invited back to have a kicking duel in preseason, but we will see about that. As far as I know, Tressway will be staying, and this is the last year of his current contract, so they could go away from him, they could stay with them without many problems. Let's see. Let's look at the stream, just in case somebody. I was going to do just a video, but I decided to do it live. If anybody's no, because I didn't announce this ahead of time or anything, so that's fine. I like doing it live though, whenever possible. So let's see. So just to go over again, some more thoughts on the roster. The signings. Really not anything crazy. I think Bobby Wagner's a 1-year deal. I think most of them are 1-year deals to see if it's a good fit. And that's great. That minimizes the risk. There's not any crazy risk on any of the free agents that they signed. Frankie Louvu, the same. I think, though, that one's a 3-year contract, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, let me get the information. Dorrance Armstrong at the end position. Linebacker Frankie Louvu. Tyler Biadasz. All signed 3-year contracts. So those are all 3-year contracts, and so fortunately, best case scenario, all 3 of them start and all 3 of them do really well. And so also got a 3-year contract would have been Curtis Samuel leaving Washington to go to Buffalo. Kendall Fuller got a 2-year deal going from Washington to Miami. Miami is where he went. Nick Allegretti, also a 3-year deal, worth $16 million over the 3 years. Antonio Gibson got a 3-year deal to go from Washington to New England Patriots. Cam Curl did go to the Rams, 2-year deal to go there. Bobby Wagner, again, just that 1-year deal, $8,500,000. So that's all you have tied up in that. If that doesn't work out, hopefully it'll for all these guys, no matter what team they go to, hopefully it works out great. Austin Eckler, a 2-year deal, and he'll be 29 by the time the season starts. So a 2-year deal for him. Jacoby Brissett, a 1-year deal in New England for him. Was back up last year. Was going to start one game, but got hurt. And so could not start. Sam Howell had to start. Jeremy Reeves, his deal to re-sign with Washington was 2 years. Marcus Mariota on a 1-year deal to backup quarterback, presumably, because presumably they will sign draft one of the top 3 quarterbacks, one would think. Jeremy Chin safety, that's a 1-year deal. Try each other out. Cleveland Farrell. He'll be 27 by the time the season starts, and that's a 1-year deal. He signed. He was with San Francisco. Brandon McManus, 1-year kicking deal. Cody Barton, middle linebacker, went to Denver. No details on his deal. Anthony Pittman, no details on his deal. Was with Detroit and signed as linebacker. Rated in the 60s, though. So, backup special teams player. James Crowder re-signed on a 1-year deal. Sadiq Charles, guard, went from Washington to Tennessee on a 1-year deal. And no information available on Dante Fowler's deal with Washington moving from Dallas. The available players that have not signed anywhere yet, that Washington has cut or that would be free agents this year if they don't re-sign them. Charles Leno, left tackle. Logan Thomas, tight end. Cornelius Lucas, left tackle. Efe Obada resigned. He's still on this list, though. Might be a day-old list or something like that. David Bada, defensive tackle. Khalid Hudson, I mentioned. Linebacker. Tyler Larson, center. David Mayo, outside linebacker. And so none of these guys were in the on the roster that I showed you. Byron Pringle, wide receiver. I think he was not on that list either. Alex Armour was on the roster, but again, they don't like it when you can run without a fullback, but if you have one and then try to release them, it will tell you need to have a player at that position. Terrell Burgess, safety. So I would like to see him re-sign. Jabril Cox, linebacker. Brandon Dillon, tight end. James Smith-Williams, defensive end. Casey Toohill, defensive end. Curtis Brooks, defensive tackle. And Dijon Harris, linebacker, who is on this current roster in the game. But again, would be a free agent if they don't choose to sign them. All right, so to wrap it up, let me switch back to the roster. There we go. As far as quarterback, there's a bunch of first round draft picks drafted at quarterback that do not make it. that never go anywhere, and some burn out in less than a year. And a lot of those ones, those that burn out in the first year, are the better athletes. And so, no disrespect to Caleb Williams, but I mean, I remember RG3. RG3 was awesome. Got into the playoffs. Got hurt in, I think, the first quarter, and was never the same after that. And so, had he not got hurt, maybe you're all right. But that's not how it worked out for RG3. So I would rather have a proven quarterback rather than the best athlete. So I would hope if you're going to go with the top three, the other ones would be Drake May and Daniels. I can't remember his first name. Daniels from LSU, I think. And so those would be better quarterbacks. Also, my particular knock against Caleb Williams would be is that he was playing against mostly Pac-12 teams, and Pac-12 does not play defense. So, and he even didn't do well against some of those teams. Oregon has a pretty decent defense, but other than that, the Pac-12, they just don't emphasize it, or just don't get the players, something like that, because they never have good defense in the Pac-12. So yes, called it out. And so, and even against bad defenses there, he did not look great at all times. Had a great hype going in like the first three games, but then after that, then I think they played Notre Dame, and it went downhill from them there for him, mostly. So, Lord love him, of course. And if he gets drafted by my team, I hope he is the best quarterback ever in the NFL. But personally, I would not choose an athletic quarterback over the best quarterback. And as far as Eckler is more of an Antonio Gibson type. And so he would be more the pass catching. Let's even go to their catch. Yeah, 77 on catching. I think that's what about Gibson was. I think maybe a 79. Something like that. I can't remember. And Robinson, more just a runner. 65 on the catch radius there. So, or rating, not radius. And you got last year's rookie draft pick, Chris Rodriguez Jr. there, which I would imagine would stay at least this year as a backup. Already talked about Arma. They could go what they did for years and years here, which was just use a tight end as the blocker, and often Bates as the tight end is a blocker. I would say McLaurin and Dotson definitely. Crowder was signed, re-signed, so I would assume that it would be at least these three definitely. Brown, you probably keep him in the last year of his rookie contract and see what he can do. As far as Milne and Tinsley, don't know what the new regime would do. Zach Ertz, another thing about Zach Ertz is that he was probably brought over in part because of his familiarity with Cliff Kingsbury's offense from when they were together, when Cliff Kingsbury was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And so, yeah, if you have a player that knows the offense, he can help teach the other guys. And so that's a great move. And plus, he's a good tight end. And then Bates, Turner, I mean, they could either both be there or both not be there, or one of them be there. It just depends on what they find in free agency and in the draft. Definitely got to upgrade this current group at. So basically, you would need a starter at left tackle. You would need maybe a starter, unless they are going to give Allegretti the chance to start for sure. But that's 66 rating. The ratings aren't always 100% accurate, but they generally are in the ballpark. And so even Braden Daniels, who did hardly, I think, paid one snap, or not that much. Might have got hurt in preseason. I can't remember, but even he has a higher rating than Allegretti. So you would think maybe a starter there as well. So that's 2 starters they need. Vitade, you think will start. Cosme will start. And in a pinch, he could play tackle, but he has done much better at guard since transitioning to guard. Stromberg will probably make the roster, a rookie last year, so still on rookie contract, and so he'll probably be there. Wiley's good as well, so you got 1, 2, 3 starters, so you would need 2 starters, theoretically, unless you're going to give Allegretti the shot, and then you would need 1 starter and probably at least a good backup at the guard position. So probably a good between draft and free agency, remaining free agency, before and after the draft, maybe as many as 5 offensive linemen being brought in, and then they'll pick from the best of them. And they would look probably to see, and there will be surprise people released, especially after the draft, when you find out what you get for the draft. Because generally they would be at least be given the year, or at least be given training camp to show what they can do after being drafted. But then post draft, you do get surprise people being released sometimes, so you never know who you can get. Armstrong as well. Let's see. So maybe another backup or 2 there on ends. If they keep Mathis, they maybe set at D tackle, and might not have to bring anybody in. They may, for training camp, bring in 1 or 2 more players just to get the rotation, so you're not wearing guys out. Another linebacker. Let's see. So let's assume they re-sign Jabril. They would need probably at least 1 more. Even if they re-sign Hudson, they'd probably bring in 3, whether through draft or free agency or combination of them. I assume they'd bring in at least 3 more linebackers, if not more. The cornerback is what you gotta do something about that. I wouldn't be surprised at one of the high free agents remaining. For that, or if there's one released after the draft. So would not be surprised at that at all. At least somebody else in this range, like 76, 77, something like that, rated. Another one. Would not be surprised at all if they signed somebody big. And then, of course, one or 2 draft picks, maybe. So assuming they re-sign Burgess and Butler, which I hope they do, that should be fine for that position. But maybe you never know. Maybe you bring in a couple. If you find a good draft pick there, once you get down, I mean, you're supposed to draft the best player available, no matter what position you are. But like, they won't do that necessarily in the first round with the second pick. They won't draft the second player available probably, because that could easily be even the first best player available. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver. Might be, and he could fall out of the top 10 even. Who knows? But I would assume, especially with they're moving off of Howell. I would assume it's got, because you don't want to be in a position where you have the second round draft pick based on play. I mean, sure, if you get a bunch of picks and trade up to there, yeah, that's a different thing than actually being the second worst team in the league. And so that does not happen that much, especially for Washington, even being having not that much success. They've still, especially in the Ron Rivera era, they've generally been around halfway mark. So like 15 or 16, 17, something like that. So that's where they've been picking in the first round. And you need Martin and Forbes at corner. You need them to definitely take a step up and improve. And hopefully, from year one to year two, you often do see a lot of improvement. And that's about all I have to say. And so maybe I'll do it once a week during free agency. Just do a little update, and probably future ones would be not as long as this, but just wanted to share my thoughts on that. Alrighty. As far as I didn't say. Let's see. What would I do right now with the first pick? Like I said, I've resigned myself. So in all but one of my franchises that I've run, I've kept Hal as my quarterback for this coming season. And so I drafted somebody else, usually an offensive lineman, because I love me some offensive linemen. So I've drafted an offensive lineman in the first round to protect him somehow. That is. But recently I resigned myself to say, okay, they're gonna take a quarterback, because you almost have to at pick number 2 if you don't have a proven one already. And so, which you generally don't if you have the second pick. And so, since then, I have run one franchise, taking Drake May. So, but anything else? Let's see, what would I do? I'm trying to think of the top free agents. Still remaining. Let's see if I have that. No, I don't have that. I'll have that for next time, for the next one. But I mean, we can take a look at who I think this is going to be pretty much up to date. Maybe not within the past day or two, but let's back out here and do sign free agents and see who's available. So these theoretically are on this way. You have so many available because these are the guys that were cut from their other teams or are otherwise free agents. So, I mean, there's a 90 left tackle right there. 10 years experience, though. So, you gotta, when you get old, I mean, I'm old myself, so I get it. But if you can still do the job, absolutely go ahead. But there's one right there's a left tackle for you right there, Washington. There's another one, Trent Brown, a little bit younger. 87 wide receiver, Nick Williams. They're probably okay on safety, but if you can get a decent price. Cornerback, so maybe start thinking about Xavier Howard, some more guard, Kevin Zeitler, a Badger, Chase Young. Now that would be interesting if they signed Chase Young. That would be very interesting. It's probably, I don't know, even though it's a whole new regime, except the owner. whole new regime, whole new coaching staff, I think. So that would be interesting to bring back Chase, and probably won't happen. So what another wide receiver there? T. Higgins, Jadeveon Clowney. So they still have a bunch of cap room left because the cap ceiling hit a new high this year. It went up by a lot more than previous years. And so that, in addition to already having a bunch of cap space, that gives Washington a lot of cap space to do all kinds of stuff with. And then the cuts they did this year also gave them more. So Jadeveon Clowney, linebacker, would be more like a rushing linebacker, would still be like a end. Strong safety, probably go with Chen and not try to sign anybody at this price range. Calais Campbell, Van Der Esch, another Cowboy. So who knows? Could be, if nobody else has interest in him. Who knows? If they can get a good deal, and even just like a 1-year deal, and see what it looked like. That'd be interesting, because he's certainly familiar with the defense that Dan Quinn will run. '82 ranked center. So, like, I mean, any of these guys really, except where they're pretty good, which is not many of the Jerome Baker from the Ohio State University, 81 ranking. I don't see Odell Beckham being signed by them. I mean, even Patrick Peterson, possible. At corner, the corners are where I would really think that they would want to add at least one great cornerback if they can, and that's going to be one of these names that you've heard of, unless they're doing a high round draft pick for a cornerback. There's Charles Leno. So, but yeah, I'll have the actual list of available free agents next time ready to go. I did not have it this time. Sorry. Taylor Lewan, I think he's retired without mentioning it, without saying it. Byron Jones, even getting up there, 30, so probably 31 by the time the season starts. Getting up there, but he can still play. Low Collins, more offensive line depth. J.K. Dobbins from the Ohio State University. So that would be interesting. It depends on how stacked of a running back room you want. Just check a couple more cornerbacks that are available here. Kyle Fuller, I don't think he was hurt, but he was unsigned a bunch last year as well. He was still available. And so I don't know that he might be basically retired as well. Not sure. If you're not Kyle, come down and have a workout. A couple more linebackers. William Jackson III, he was with Washington. And they had some kind of disagreement. And so he left during the season. Alexander Johnson, and he's another one that ranked 77 middle linebacker, but available for all of the season. I don't think he was picked up even to be put on a practice squad. Practice squads, I believe, are still going to be expanded since they have been since the Pandy started. And now they have it so you can even have veteran players. You used to be you could have rookies or players with 1 year experience on it. But now Now you can even put veterans on a certain amount. I think 5 players, 5 veteran players on the practice squad. Pandy was crazy. You had people playing where half of their team was like not even on the roster, like a month prior, playing games. It's interesting. Down to like 75, and then we'll call it a stream. Peoples Jones from the state up north. That wide receiver. Levi Wallace, 76. And Akello Witherspoon, 76 as well. These are cornerbacks. Jason Verrett. What's their speed like? Levi Wallace, 90 speed. Chris Harris Jr. He was available almost all of last year too and not signed, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Bobby McCain used to be former Washington safety. Andrew Norwell, he was available all of last year too, I think. He might have got on a practice squad, but I don't know if he ever ended up playing in a game. Couple more here. Let's look for cornerback. Shaquille Griffin. Fabian Moreau, what used to be a cornerback? No, he didn't. I always get that mixed up because they had a tight end whose last name was Moreau and his first initial was F, so I always get that confused. Trey Turner, former Washington commander, or maybe even before they were the Commanders. Washington football team, anyone? Xavier Rhodes, cornerback. And now we're into 74s. Rock Ya-Sin, off of his rookie contract and a free agent. Okay, that's enough. We'll call it stream. And so that's your Washington Commanders as they stand right now. And of course, only do get better. Draft is, I think, about a month away still. I think it's near the end of April, so it would be more like a month and a half. Alrighty, that's going to do it for me wearing the 14 Brad Johnson jersey, also worn by Taylor Heineke last year. Alrighty. Left hand up, left hand up. Go Commanders. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Much appreciated.